why do we have a pastor, and what does that mean for me? Good questions. Let's answer them today. Well, a pastor, as we talked about last time, is put in place first for the sake of good order. That this pastor is going to be the one that is responsible for doing certain responsibilities in the church. And God lays out what these responsibilities are in His Word. The responsibility of a pastor is to preach the Word and to administer the sacraments, to shepherd the flock, the congregation. So just like a shepherd would lead sheep around and make sure that the sheep are taken care of, it is the pastor's job to shepherd people. And a pastor does that in a lot of different ways, whether it's tending to the sick, visiting them, sharing with them God's Word, praying with them. Maybe it's being there at the really happy times of life, at the birth of a child, at a confirmation, at a marriage, any of those types of things. A pastor is there to be with you, to share God's Word with you, and to administer the sacraments. He is the overseer of the church. Now that doesn't make a pastor better or worse than anybody else. It just means that he has been given this responsibility, and it's a high calling from God. Paul talks about this to his young protege, Timothy. Timothy is a pastor, and Paul is about to be done with his ministry here on earth. He's about to die. And so he is giving words to Timothy and to pastors of all time, anyone who seeks to be an overseer. And he lists several things that are essential for a pastor. Now listen to the list in 1 Timothy chapter 3. Here is a trustworthy saying: whoever aspires to be an overseer desires a noble task. Now, the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him, and he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. If anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap. These are Paul's words and also God's words to Timothy and to future pastors. And so there are a lot of characteristics in here that make a good pastor, such as self-controlled, temperate, faithful, above reproach, respectable, hospitable. But there is one in here that is a talent and a skill more than just a characteristic. These characteristics would be good for all Christians to have. But there is one that differentiates the overseer. And that is the overseer, the pastor, ought to be able to teach. That's a skill, that's a talent to be able to have in the first place and develop throughout a ministry. And so that's why it's important that your pastors go to as much school as they go to, 8 years of school. They ought to be able to teach, to know what's written in God's Word, and to be able to convey that message to the flock that they are in charge of shepherding, that they might faithfully administer the Word and the sacraments. And so here's the question that comes: what does this mean for me? This is fine for me as a pastor or for other pastors out there, but what does this mean to you as a parishioner, as one of the sheep in the flock? This means that if you see people, especially young men that have the abilities and the talents to teach, they seem to be blessed with those talents and these characteristics, encourage them. Encourage them to consider pursuing public ministry, because we need more people to serve in the role of pastor and overseer in the church. God says in His Word that it is a noble task to pursue. It is a high calling And therefore, we want to encourage people, if they have those gifts, to use those gifts to the glory of God. So keep an eye out for those people in our church. Keep an eye out for those people in your life, that you might be able to encourage them to take on this great and noble task. God bless you, and God be with you.